The meeting's going to be recorded so that anybody can watch it, and I guess another week it'll be up online on our YouTube channel. I found a couple interesting things on Instagram again. Just a couple short ones today. It's like, I just organized my stash. I have no memory of buying half of those skeins of yarn. So apparently, I shop to keep the economy going. And here's another short one. Remember, no project is too ambitious if you crave the result enough.
Yes.
That's true. Let's see. Knit-in updates. Chesterfield Knit-in that meets every Friday from 11 till 2. Used to meet at Jenny's. We're meeting now at the Stack House, which is just down the street, not even a half a block. So if you're interested in that, the address is on the knit-in list in the newsletter. And then there's a new knit-in that meets every Wednesday afternoon from 1 to 3 at Friendship Village in Sunset Hills. And Lynette Millis is hosting that one. So if you're interested in that, you can contact Lynette for a better location. And if anybody is interested in starting a knit-in, just let Joanne Eckapole know, and she's the one who keeps track of that if there's any changes in your group. So just let Joanne know. I want to remind everybody that the website password has changed. Did anybody have a question? The website password was changed July the 1st, so make sure that you're using the new one, which is in the July newsletter. And Beth has stickers that you can put on your membership card or something, so that if you want to keep it there so you can remember what it is. Please don't share that, and please don't share that with non-members. It's just something for members. We're going to be participating in a Fiber Arts Day at the Daniel Boone home. So put on your calendars, save the date, Saturday, September the 2nd.
I'm going to have a sign-up sheet too.
Okay, from 10 until 4. There's going to be a sign-up sheet just so we know who's coming, so we make sure we have enough spots. We're going to be under a pavilion. Right now we've just got a few tables and chairs, but we're just, we need volunteers to maybe bring some examples of what you're knitting on. Somebody wants to come up and maybe just see how to do a knit and a purl. We're not going to do any kind of advanced knitting classes for this. And yarn winding, we'll have that available. So if anybody has some yarn that they want to, wind. Carol, I think you were going to be bringing Carol and Mary. Somebody was going to be bringing.
Yeah, if there's a yarn vendor, we don't even know for sure if there are going to be yarn vendors there.
There probably aren't going to, but I thought it might be nice just to show people how to wind a skein, even if it takes all day to wind one skein of yarn. Just to do that. But Mary Dale Bannister and Carol Reagan both agreed to be the coordinators of that event because I'm going to be out of town on the 2nd, so I won't be able to be there. But it sounds like it'd be fun. Let's see. And there'll be several other fiber arts guilds that are going to be represented there. I believe Weavers Guild is going to be there. But if you want to go online, I didn't bring a copy of it with me, but they have a lot of interesting things going on other than sitting at our booth. So if you're interested in the fiber arts, check that out. Daniel Boone Home. It's their 2nd annual one. Land's End. We got this in the mail. I'm showing this because this is a Land's End shirt that I got. So if you'd like to have a shirt that has the Guild logo on it, you can have this logo or the classic logo, which is the one with the colored yarn balls. But this kind of shows you some of the things that you can have customized with the logo. Pick a shirt, pick a size. Some things on the website get discounted. There's a link, and I can put a Ravelry. I'll put it in the newsletter. I'll put a link to how you get to the to the Land's End site, so that you're at the Guild store. So you can have bags with your logo on it. You can do all kinds of stuff. But I love this shirt. I probably should get one that doesn't have a logo on it just to wear, but it's real comfortable and light. So anyway, that'll be on the hospitality table.
Joan, there's also a link on the website to that.
Okay.
Under the member area, there's a page called merchandise. That'll take you.
There you go. And it'll take you right into the store where you can select the logos. Let's see. Okay, the last thing that I have is for just announcements. Kathy Schoenlau was kind enough to help me resurrect Gilda St. Louis. Gilda St. Louis is a profile I created on Ravelry in 2014. And it was for the purpose of putting all the Guild books on Gilda's library, so that if anybody wanted to know what books the library has, you could go to Gilda's profile and say, library, and then you see all the books. And then it's like, well, what patterns are in that? You click on the book, and it shows you the patterns that are available. It doesn't show you the pattern, but you'll know we have the book in the library, so that you can borrow the book. So it will help us make better use of our Guild library, which has kind of been stagnant because I haven't been able to bring the books in. But if anybody's interested in sock books, I mean, I can always pull the sock books together or just pattern books. But there's a lot. I think we have 150 books. The DVDs are not in Gilda's library, but I will create I can actually do that in the newsletter too, because there's not that many of them. But we have some Meg Swanson, there's a baby surprise sweater, there's Lucy Meatbee, technique, there's a lot. So we'll make those more obvious of what they are. But make sure you check out Gilda St. Louis, it's GUILDASTL. So that'll be in the newsletter too, so you can look that up. But I think there's 125 of our 150 books that Kathy was able to upload. So thank you very much, Kathy, for taking the time to do that. Is there any other announcements I need to make or anything anyone has? If not, we'll move on to the business portion. The minutes, are there any corrections to the minutes from the May 13th or the May 13th meeting or the June 10th potluck that were in the June and July newsletters respectively? Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve those minutes.
Mary, second Vicki Berry. All in favor? Aye. Okay, the minutes are approved. Okay, now we'll go on to the treasurer's report. Are there any questions on the April and May treasurer's reports that were published in the June and July newsletters respectively? If not, those will be submitted for audit. So those are the only things I have, so we'll go on to other reports. Carol Regan is going to represent the administrative VP. Be careful on your step in here.
Hi, I'm going to talk about the Founders Day Luncheon. This is a save the date. It's October 7th from 11:30 to 3, and it's $20 a person. It's at Andres Banquet Center in Fenton. The deadline for reservations is September 9th of 2023. Our charity focus is going to be chemo hats, and raffle tickets will be available for 6 tickets for $5. But when you sign up and you attend, you're going to get 1 raffle ticket. And if you bring 5 chemo hats that day, you will get 1 raffle ticket. So for every 5 chemo hats, you get a raffle ticket that we're going to give you. Does anyone have any questions? We don't know what the menu is yet. I will let you guys know next time. Yes?
What date did you say was the deadline for reservation?
September 9th.
Thank you.
It's the 7th.
So there are forms to fill out?
Excuse me. It's going to be in the newsletter next month.
Which has
The information and then the reservation forms.
A registration form in the newsletter, and they'll have more details, and we'll also have copies of the form next month, so you can pay at the meeting next month if you want to, but yeah, we want to get it all paid.
Correct.
pretty
And you're
quickly.
accepting donations for prizes?
Yes, please. If you want to bring them to the August or September meeting, and I'll collect them. Oh, I have a big mouth. So does anyone else have any other questions? No? Okay, well, thank you. You too.
Okay, we're going to do communications, Mary Dale Bannister. But before she comes up, I just wanted to, unless she was going to, I'm taking away her thunder. The summer's Last Blast Yarn Crawl is going to be Friday, July the 28th through Sunday, July 30th. There are passports on the table, so you can pick those up now or you can pick them up at the shops. There are 4 shops participating, Yarn Con, Seven Sisters, Weave and Wobble, and the Bee Place. So be sure to support our local yarn shops.
Thank you. You can keep it. You guys can hear me, right? I talked in classes twice this size. I don't see that it's a problem. I just wanted to say a couple more things. I've actually got, it's across 2 pages, but I've got the little brochure from the Boone's Farm event that's gonna be on September 2nd. They say, see weavers, spinners, quilters, and other skilled fiber artists, that's us. See an early 19th century period fashion show.
That's not us.
It might be. I mean, some of us are a little out of style. Discover modern and historical fiber arts methods.
That would be us.
That might be us. Yeah, that could be us. Bring a fiber project to work on. Take a fiber arts class. I have not seen the list of classes. I'm not sure they have anybody lined up as of yet to teach classes. But maybe if you wanted to teach a class, you could contact them, and I can give you the contact information for who you would need to contact. Now, the whole event goes from, where do I have it? Here we go. On September 2nd from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And so anytime that you guys can come between Carol and I, we're gonna be there through,
Yes.
we're probably gonna cover the whole thing,
Right.
unless somebody's gonna come in the middle of the day and relieve us. But, so Carol will set up, I'm gonna pick up everything. If you can bring examples, it's sometimes nice to bring something, but bring something that you don't mind if people touch. Because as it is right now, what we'll probably use is just the tables we're given, we'll have tablecloths on it. But people wanna, I mean, you know, that's kind of the thing with knitting, people wanna touch it. So like, don't bring like your best shawl ever, that if somebody touches it, you're gonna have to wash it and reblock it. Don't do that, but bring something, you know, something cute that people kind of understand when they look at it, what they're looking at. Okay? And I've got a little sign-up sheet, a very not professionally drawn-up sign-up sheet that I will put on Tony's table, so if you know you're gonna be there, I'll pick it up at the end of the day. And, because we'll have one more meeting before then, so I will bring it back.
And that's at the blue
I'll put that on the table too. And does anybody have any questions?
Is it the Daniel Boone
Home.
Hall?
Where is
Right.
that?
It's north of the Missouri River.
Yeah.
It's in Defiance, Missouri.
Yeah, in Defiance. Yeah,
Just
and
wanted to clarify that.
yeah, and on our Facebook page, the event is already listed, and I will list it again multiple. Maybe I'll put it up as an event or something that's easier for people to find, and maybe we can put it on Ravelry too.
Yeah.
So that if you need to look it up, you'll be able to find their website and find out all the magnificent stuff that's going on. Any other questions? Nope, then I'm going.
Pam, we're gonna do community service, so Pam Riley. If you get a chance, check out all the beautiful things that have been donated at the break. There's really a lot of neat things back there. And yarn, there's lots of charity.
Okay, since the Founder's Day luncheon project is chemo hats, I'm soliciting patterns that people would like to knit as a chemo hat. I'm considering getting kits together for chemo hats as soon as possible. Generally, a cotton is what I'm going to have. Probably Love-Vet cotton or something from Hobby Lobby. I think that's a good yarn. It works well. It's worsted weight, goes fast. Anybody that has had chemo, if you had a favorite chemo hat that you wore, I would like to know about it, because we can work with that. That'll be a beneficial. Most of the chemo hats we should have are adult, because most chemo patients are adult people. Males also have hair loss, and indoors, if you're used to having hair, indoors in the summer is very cold for these guys. So having a male hat is a good idea. Questions?
Susan?
Forgot where my list was. There we go. Hi, everybody. So from a program perspective, today we're going to talk about our charity partners. So we'll do that here in a little bit. And then in August, we're looking at featuring the Knitting Guild Association, TKGA, and what it is, why you might be interested in it. They also have a master knitter class, and I think we may have 2 or 3 people that have done it or are in the process of, so we're hoping to talk to them and see if they might want to say a few words about that particular program, how that's going for them. It's September. Right now, we're going to talk maybe toys. I don't know yet if I'm going to have time to actually make anything for September, so that might change. In October, we have our luncheon. In November, we're going to talk about needles, different types of needles, and kind of critique them, survey them, see what you guys like, or circular, straight, bamboo, metal, whatever. We'll kind of talk about that. There may be some sampling, so if we have different needle types and things, we can have samples that you can try out stuff. And then in December, we're going to talk about fiber events that are kind of across the country, right? There's a lot of stuff that happens every year. Some of those are on the website if you go to, I think, national events, that's the link. But we'll kind of highlight some of those so that maybe next year you can plan your vacations and head somewhere. So, any questions on upcoming stuff? Thanks.
Is that you? Okay, I didn't know who you were. Hi, everybody. Like my friend Tiara, I'm channeling my inner Queen Elizabeth. Rest in peace. Today we have one visitor, Kathy York, and 52 members. It's really good on kind of a gloomy day. Have I worn this shirt like every time we've had guild? I find that I had one, like a group of photos, and every single one had the same shirt. I was like, oh my gosh. And so I find with my knitting too, all I can make is grandma's washcloth baby blankets. But there's something soothing about making the same thing or any pattern that you've used before. And without further ado, we will have our drawing. So let's see. Barb Slade. Barb, are you a sock knitter? Okay. No, that's okay.
You are now.
You are now, no. That was a good one. Robin Reynolds. Are you a sock knitter? Yep. Do you have one of these?
I think I do. Sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Cassie Day.
I had a drawing award.
Okay, give me a number then.
27.
Okay. She already won too. How about another number?
44.
Okay. Judy Roach. Are you- Okay, pick a number.
30.
Okay. Diane Wolf. She's so lucky. You can have a gift.
I don't think she's won for a while. So
Are you a sock knitter? Are you a sock knitter? Do you have a little sock knitter book? Do you have this little book? No, I don't. Okay, good. You do now. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Let's see, I have Barb Slade. Was that you? Yeah. Okay. This is another Barb. Barb Porter. Okay. Oh, let's see. The book was from YarnCom. There you go. Okay. And why don't you give me a number, Barb? No, Barb's like 39. Jackie Arnitz? No.
I thought it was a day.
Yeah, Jackie. This is from Yarncom too. All right, I'll give you these, Joan.
Okay.
Where was she? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Oh, and we have one visitor, Cassie York.
Hi.
Pressure into joining because of the lovely gifts.
I have another visitor who didn't happen to say it.
Hi, Beth. And
Welcome
we'll
back.
pressure you to join too with the lovely gifts.
Okay, we're going to do show and share, and several of the people that have show and share have already had their projects, their pictures taken by Lee in the back. But after you show your project, if you haven't had your picture taken, it'll be used in the newsletter and on Instagram. Just go in the back corner, and Lee will be nice enough to take a beautiful photograph of your project.
Yes, she will.
And so when you get the little card that you filled out, you can give that to me after you show your item, and I'll put that on Ravelry under the bundle. So, now line up if you've got things to show. I know there's several people in the back. And in the front. Nobody's coming up, I know there's people back there.
I can't talk loud. Anyway, this shirt is called Summer Turn. It's not on Ravelry. I found it on Instagram. It's a Danish designer who designed it for a Danish yarn company. So if you want to know the name of the yarn company, I can give it to you. And I bought the exact yarn that they showed. I did change the neck. The neck was 12 more rows, and then the collar, and I was like, not for summer, so I just made a boat neck. So.
Beautiful. Very, very good.
And the microphone is there if you want it.
Oh, can you hear me? Okay, I'm Marion, and this is called Clio two-tone tunic, and it's a Barocco yarn, and it's worsted. And no, I didn't swatch. However, I also changed this a little bit because it was falling off my shoulder, and I crocheted around it, and it's perfect. Thank you. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Some of you have heard this story while it was in the works, but this is Leah Michelle Designs. It's totally triangular scarf. She has two of them. One is truly triangular, which is really a triangle, and this one is elongated. And I had 5 mini skeins of superwash, and the pattern said use size 4 needles and fingering yarn. Yeah, I tried that a bunch of times, and I got about that far and kept ripping it out, and I thought, I can't do this. So I was in my stash looking for something to bring to a knitting event, and I found this gray finger. I said, hey, that'll work. So I used both of them, and I have this lovely scarf now.
I got this yarn given to me by a friend, and friends, you know who you are. And I found the perfect pattern for it. This is called Cameo, and it's a bunch of cabling with the scallops.
Beautiful.
The yarn is Knit Pick Swish, which is it's a wool that's very, very soft. And Merino. Okay, thanks. You're welcome to touch. I'll let you. And my other project.
You want the chairs in front, Diana?
I could, yeah. Is I made one pair of these, and they were so fun to make. I made the second pair. These are called sprocket. And if you want sprocket socks, and if you want a sock pattern that doesn't get boring, this is it. It's so fun to make. I'll probably make another pair someday.
So, hi, I'm Vicki Berry, and I confess I'm very, very fortunate to be able to get to travel quite extensively. So I came back from literally a cruise around the world. I highly recommend it. So every place we could, we tried to go to a yarn store. So this is yarn that I got in Portugal, in Lisbon. It is from 100% Portuguese sheep, and it is all Portuguese made, Portuguese dyed, and Portuguese sold. So it is actually, okay.
Ooh, wow.
So this pattern is Beau or Bow, we don't know which, Beaufort 5 by Isabel Kramer. And this yarn comes from Rosa Pomar, which you may know her from her book on Portuguese knitting. She has a shop in Lisbon, and there was about 8 of us that did a beeline to her shop. And this is what I got. So I have some leftover if anybody wants to touch or feel. Okay, then we were in Auckland, and again, the same 8 to 10 of us beeline to this lovely little shop called Lupine, which actually was owned by a woman from the States, and just an adorable young lady. I know we made her month from what we purchased. So, trying to always buy local. This is a merino wool and possum. Possum with a P, not an O. And it's a very short-haired yarn that you can wash and dry the first time to get it all soft, and then just hand wash it and block it from then. I have not done that yet, but this pattern is Regal Raglan by Andrea Yetman, and it was pretty easy to do, and has a nice boat neck, little raise in the back, just simple knitting. I was fortunate to, on Sea Days, there was a group of about 15 of us that got together and knit for a couple of hours each day. So while we were on the trip, I knit 5 sweaters. And I intentionally picked relatively easy ones so you could be social. This is one that I had started before I left, and it is called Nora Pullover, and it's basically cables. And it is knit with Cascades Pima silk, and it came from my stash, but before it got to my stash, it came from Notorious. So, there's that. So that's all I have this time. I'll bring more next time. But this is the possum yarn, if anybody wants to touch and feel that. How long was your trip? It was 5.5 months.
Oh my God. Wow, that's a great trip.
It was a great trip.
Can you take us next time?
Yes. If I win the lottery, everybody can go. Thank you. I'll leave that there for the moment.
Okay, we're going to take a 15-minute break, and so you can check out the knitting thing, see if there's yarn you can use, pick up a passport, or sign up to volunteer at the Fiber Fest in the Blue Dome. So we'll see you in about 15 minutes.
today. I'm Susan Rosbeck, if you don't know me. One of the education chairs. May is not here today, so I'll be leading. So today we're going to talk about our charity partners. You guys knit amazing things. And we know we can all never wear everything we knit, right? So we give stuff away. And that's a wonderful thing about the Guild. So we, can you guys see that okay in the back? Can you see it okay? Okay. So we partner with local charities so that the beautiful things that you guys knit can be given to people in need within the community. And there's always yarn available in the back for charity knitting, so there's plenty back there for different stuff. We knit mittens and sweaters and blankets and scarves, and most of the donations we make are hats, but we'll find a home for anything, right? So if you knit it, bring it in, we're gonna find a home for it. The only thing we might not find a home for, we'll have to figure out, it's like pet squares, that might not be a thing anymore. But everything else we're gonna find a home for. And the members have consistently donated at least 1,200 hats per year, which is amazing. And since 2000, we have donated 30,000 hats. Wow. That's crazy. I mean, that's a lot of hats, right? So that's amazing. That's just amazing. And then, so we try to do a thermometer every year with our goal, and thanks Joan for putting this together. And so in 2020, the infamous 2020 year, we actually did have a 35th anniversary hat challenge, and our goal was to knit 3,500 hats, which is well above the 1,200 goal. And we did it. We knit 3,545 hats. So that was incredible. And then in 2021, 1,537 hats, 2022, 1,564. And then this year so far we're at 522. I'm sure we have a lot more back there. So we're not quite at our halfway mark, so knit those hats. Knit those hats. And these are all of the organizations that received hats last year. So there's quite a long list. Some of these we'll go into in more depth in a few slides. But thanks, Joan, for putting this list together. So I think the next slide is, yeah, okay, I'll give you a second. So this is actually everything that we donated in 2022. So the 1,500 plus hats, but like I said, we'll find a home for anything. So we have shawls, ponchos, chemo hats, scarves, baby stuff, baby sweaters, toys. Again, you knit it, we'll find a home for it, right? So Joan, do you want to say a few words on any of this? Because we'll jump into specific charities now, but if you want to say a few extra words on general donations. Sorry.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Joan Rangel, and I'm the liaison for Hats for Kids and Adults. And I just wanted to kind of briefly go over how the Hats for Kids works. This excludes the chemo hats and the baby hats. It says the Knitters Guild promotes that members knit 1 hat per month, and these are collected all year and distributed to local charities in the fall. And the baby hats and the chemo hats, those are distributed throughout the year. But we like to hold on to the hats until the end of the year for 2 reasons. First, we have a better selection of each charity, so each charity has a variety of hats. And if we receive a large donation of the same kind of a hat, we can split them up between the other organizations. So that makes it, Laura's nice enough to store the hats. We go over there in September and we put the hats on her bed, and we put bags around her bed, and we put the names of the organizations on the bags, and we pick up hats that we like and we just split them up. I'll take, here's 50, we just kind of mix them up. And then if we find some that are the same, then we say, okay, each one gets that one, and okay, this one gets this one. So it's kind of a silly way to do it, but that's how we've been doing it in the past. So we could do it another way where each charity gets a hat that we collect that month, but we normally do them in bags of 50, and sometimes they're more, sometimes they only need 25. So that's kind of how we distribute the hats. And the second reason why we wait to the end of the year is a lot of the charities don't have the space for cold weather items, so we just usually hang on to those and deliver those, or have the members who select the charities. It's up to you guys to tell us who you want the hats to go to. So the list changes. There's some that are always on there, but the list changes. And if you say, hey, my church needs hats for this group, or I I'm associated with Ronald McDonald House and I'd like them to get hats, or the Salvation Army or whatever, we'll put you down for 50 hats. It's kind of like first come, first serve. If we get more hats, we can give them out to more people. If we don't have more groups, then we know Little Bit Foundation will get a lot of them, so we can do it that way. They're usually distributed during holiday parties, so anytime between Thanksgiving and December, we like the hats to be distributed. So after Laura and I go through them, we start giving them to the people that agree to deliver those to the charities, starting at the Founders Day Luncheon or at the November meeting at the latest. So it's always good to get your hat donations in before November, December. But we'll take things, if the weather's bad and somebody needs hats in January, we'll for sure provide those hats. Let's see. When we go through the hats, we also determine if hats we have might be good chemo hats. So we sort those out and we give those to Tony, who takes them to one of the hospitals. And smaller hats, those are given to May for newborns in need. And the larger hats, if they're really big, then we'll give those to a men's shelter. And I keep the list, so I have a list right now of, people who've requested or who's still on the list from last year. So if you have and then other people will maybe only donate a couple of them, and they'll donate them directly to a charity like Birthright or Wool Aid. That's okay too. If you let me know where you gave those hats, you can always send me an email and say, hey, I wanted my hats to go to Little Bit. I made 25 hats. Just tell me that number, I'll add them to our account because you're a member and you're donating them on behalf of the guild, and they're going to where you want them to go. It gets a little confusing with the bookkeeping part, but I'll put that down as a direct donation. Let's see, what else do we have? We said that already. Anyway, it's really fun when we do go through the hats to see all the beautiful work that's gone into hats. Once in a while we get hats that are like, I don't know, I should have brought it. I got a hat in the bundle last year. It's a tea cozy. You never know. It's definitely that, or someone who wants their ears exposed. So some things we get are kind of funny. Or they're almost like yarmulke style. It's like, well, that's not going to keep anybody's head warm, but maybe somebody can use it. Again, if anybody's interested in helping with hats for kids, I've been doing it for 20 years. I'd be happy to, turn it over. It's not that complicated. It's a storage issue, and it's up to the people in the guild to deliver them. I deliver a few, but mostly it's the people that I count on that are members. And I want to thank all the volunteers who've made the hats and who've helped with the hats during the year. So thank you very much. Any questions on any volunteers? Thank you.
I'm not volunteering.
So as we mentioned, we give chemo hats. I know Pam talked about that a little bit, but Tony, if you'd like to give a little more information.
I usually donate my hats, or our hats, to St. Joseph's and St. Charles for SSM. The gal there is really nice. She distributes to all the SSM hospitals. So I like to give her about 200. That way everybody gets some. The other big place we donate to is Barnes. I kind of feel, we could go to Mercy, but I kind of feel like Barnes, Big Barnes, has a lot of people that don't have as much good stuff as we do. So I also had a friend who had breast cancer and was undergoing chemo. So I went with her every week, and each time I brought chemo hats. So that's something we can do too. Right now I have no chemo hats. But when I do have some, if you contact me, I'll be happy to give you some, because it's really kind of fun to donate them, right there when you're having chemo. And I have a few stories. One is when I was at this friend, we were, sitting with her, and we were laughing and talking, got everybody laughing and talking, because I'm very solemn and not funny at all. And Bart had made this trout hat, which looks like a fish eating your head. Next to my friend was a young man. He was kind of sleeping. So I said, oh, I'm gonna give him this hat. And so I woke up, I said, oh, I have this chemo hat for you. And he's like, I thought, and you don't have to take it. He's like, I love it. So I had the fish, and I said, well, if you put the tail this way, it means you're single. Put the tail this way, it means you're married. And you know, sometimes people say, oh yeah, I love it. And then he put it on his Facebook page. So he really loved it. I worked at Mercy for 10 years, and I was going to lunch, and I saw this lady with one of Candy's hats with the fun fur. And I stopped the lady and said, oh, you know, our group makes those. Do you have any suggestions? And her husband said, she looks so beautiful in it. Aww. And then I took some to Barnes, and the volunteers started crying. She goes, we've had no chemo hats. And then while I was there, this lady came in and she said, oh, I just want to see what the resources are. And she goes, oh, these hats are beautiful. How much do they cost? They're free. She goes, I said, take 2 or 3, see which one your sister likes, and bring the rest back. So don't think that your donations don't touch people. Oh, it makes me want to cry too. And what my last story is, I took a bunch of kids' hats actually to Mercy. And they were cute little girls and little boys. And I see this, because pediatric chemo goes up to 20, 21. So I see this very tall young man, and he was getting his chemo. And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I said, did you want a hat? And he's like, I do. And I had this big, giant white one made out of fun. I mean, I was like, oh my gosh. I said, this is the only one I have. He's like, I love it. So don't think things are going out to an avoid and nobody wants it. I'm so glad that our charity project is chemo hats, but I'll still be accepting them whenever you make them. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Covenant House. So Katie, do you want to talk about that? There's a few things I wrote, but go right ahead.
Okay. So I am the representative of Covenant House, Missouri. Covenant House is located on North Kings Highway in North City, and it provides services for homeless youth. It provides like kind of longer-term residential services, short-term emergency services, and then they have an outreach team that goes out into the community for youth who are living outside and provides them with services and tries to get them hooked up into their nonprofit. So Covenant House is amazing. It's staffed by people who care so much about these youth. They try to get them signed up for benefits so that they can get health care, food stamps, mental health services. They'll bring doctors to Covenant House, so if youth come, they can get their checkups there. They have meals every day for folks. They'll give them bus vouchers so that they can get to places where they need to go. They're just wonderful. I've been working with Covenant House through my job. I'm an attorney at Legal Services of Eastern Missouri, another nonprofit, and we do a monthly clinic, a legal clinic for the youth there who come with their legal needs. And we meet with them and try to help them. And so through that, I don't even know how it happened. We got to talking, I mentioned the Knitters Guild, and because a lot of these youth are, what's called street homeless, right? They're living outside. Warm items are invaluable to them, especially for the outreach team. So it's a really great way to make an immediate connection with the youth. You go out, you meet with someone, and you say, I have this for you, and you're already improving their situation by giving them something warm. It's hard because it is very sad, right? It's very sad that youth homelessness is a thing, that it's something we have in St. Louis. These children are very young, but it is also uplifting to know that there are so many people in the community who are helping these youth, and a lot of these youth are very hopeful, right? They so much appreciate what we are able to give to them, and they are so hopeful for their own futures. And so, you know, it is an amazing place to work with. Covenant House was the recipient of the Year of Hats when we made 3,500, and I'm sure all of them have gotten used. And, you know, kind of like anecdotally, a story, you know, a lot of these youth, when they leave their homes, have nothing. Not even their identifying papers, right? They have nothing. And so to be able to give them something that they can take with them is so meaningful to them. You really have no idea how much it means for them to receive something that has no strings attached and, you know, is from someone that they know cares about them. So it's a really great organization. I love working with them, and they really appreciate what we do. Just a pitch for hats, so they do have kind of a broad range of youth. We've got real young people, 15, and they provide services, I think, up to age 25. So, you know, we'll take your middle hats, your middle-sized hats. We'll take your large hats. There's some, you know, larger young men that go there, so we'll take those hats too. And other warm items, right? So, you know, they'll take them all. And yeah, I just really appreciate the Guild's willingness to always give to Covenant House, because you really are making a youth stay better by your donations. So thank you.
Okay, the next organization, Epworth Children and Family Services, and I think this was one of May's, but she's not here. So basically it started as an orphanage, but now offers a variety of services to assist vulnerable children and families. They have foster care, mental health care, crisis outreach, the food pantry. They have, the main campus in Webster Groves has about 40 youth in residence, and there's a Normandy location, has a drop-in center for youth, providing showers, an address for mail, things that you don't kind of think about, right? They have a transitional living program for about 80 units. And so they take hats and scarves. I didn't really know what else from that perspective. Do you know anything more about it?
That's all I
Hey,
know.
Sue.
Yeah.
I work with Epworth too.
Oh, excellent.
So just like a quick shout out, very similar population to Covenant House. Their drop-in center in Normandy, I've been many times. It's like a really cool place. They do have like items, clothing items, food items ready for the youth there. I've actually been there and had some hats that I dropped off and saw youth grabbing them, you know, just because I think I had them in my car when I was there. So Epworth is also a really cool place, and they do really good work, and they are very good at getting the youth to come to that drop-in center in Normandy. And I've seen them grab hats, so.
Awesome. Thank you, Katie. Thank you. Haven House. So Haven House provides housing and support for patients who come to St. Louis for medical care. So if you have to travel from like 25 miles away and you're coming to St. Louis for medical care, Haven House helps those families and patients. They're right now they're in a West County hotel. I guess they don't have their own facility, but they will provide hotel rooms, right, as well as transportation, meal cards, stuff like that. So they will pretty much take anything, it looks like, that we make, hats, scarves, mittens, anything that could potentially be used as a gift, you know, something that's really beautiful, like a nice blanket or something that they could give to these families, like if it's like Christmas or if it's the child's or the person's birthday. Definitely warm stuff. So apparently there was a family that came from Hawaii and had never seen snow, and so we were able to give them some warm items, which was a really wonderful thing because they wouldn't have had that otherwise. So it looks like volunteers assist with a whole bunch of stuff. So does anybody know anything else about Haven House? I think that was a May thing too, right? So they provide all kinds of assistance to families in need who are seeking medical attention. Little Bit Foundation, if Vicky, do you still work with a little bit?
I don't, but if you'd like, I can speak to them.
If you wouldn't mind, if you have.
Little Bit is an organization that started a little over 15 years ago now. And it provides what I would call a lot of just basic living items and uniforms, shoes, socks, plenty of our hats and scarves. But it's to provide an equal foundation for kids, primarily in the St. Louis City School District. And they are a wonderful organization. You know, every year they give kids backpacks and they're filled with all their school supplies. So yes, they also collect clothing, so it's another great place if you have items from home or items you want to make. But it's another support organization to not just the students, but their families as well.
I can tell you some other items that they collect. Our church, women's church group just had, at Mother's Day, had a collection, and we gave underpants and sanitary items for teenage girls.
Yes.
They had major need in that area.
Socks. Socks. Bombas makes a big donation to Little Bit, I know. You know, when you buy one from them, they donate one, and Little Bit has been a recipient of them.
Great. Thank you. Thank you all for that information. Newborns in Need. So this was created by a lady, Carol Green, when she discovered that some needy newborns who had died, they weren't buried in proper burial clothing. I don't think but so she enlisted her friends to make clothing for the babies. And then her husband pointed out that there were living babies that needed help. And so her organization expanded to support those kids as well. So blankets, they definitely take blankets, but the volunteers provide newborn immediate need kits that has everything you need for a newborn immediately, right? So baby wash, sleepers, diapers, wipes, all of that kind of stuff. But hand knit blankets and Afghans are also very, very welcome. So, any questions about that? Okay.
Yeah. So Potosi Correctional Center is one of our big state prisons in the state of Missouri. Over here, so they have for almost 2 decades now had a knitting program. This is the men's prison, but they have a knitting program, and it started just with a couple of guys in a corner because they didn't have a lot of yarn. They didn't have a way to expand the program. A dear friend of mine, Vince, who, if you've been in the Guild for a while, you saw his talk. That was almost 10 years ago now. He came and gave the talk. These guys are not allowed to have knitting needles or crochet hooks. They carve a crochet hook out of a pencil. Don't ask me what they carve it with, I don't want to know. But they have knitting looms that they use. They're not even allowed to use the tool on the knitting loom because it's pointy, and I guess they could poke somebody's eye out, I don't know. Yeah, you can kind of, if you think about it, you kind of see why. But these guys still knit an enormous number of items that go out to the community. Now, they used to do, and they don't do as much anymore, but they used to do even stuffed animals that went to Cardinal Glennon. And they had nothing to stuff them with, so they would get old worn out socks from the laundry, chop them up, and use that for stuffing for the little stuffed animals that they made in amigurumi style for the kids at Cardinal Glennon. Most recently, they've got, because it's a prison, they keep changing out their personnel. So it kind of depends on the person that they have there, how much support they get. We've been supporting them with yarn for a long time, for at least a decade. The Guild has been giving them yarn. During that, but most recently there's a cool lady there named Julie Boyer. And she actually made handouts, so if you'd like a handout, you can sure have one. You can contact her directly if you want. But
she's actually done outreach to the local community. So they have a community garden. They grow a full garden. They don't eat any of it. It all gets boxed up and sent to food pantries in the area around Potosi. They also have a few people that do dog training, but they have a lot of people that do knitting, crochet, and they knit a lot of hats. They found out the local community really wanted hats and scarves, so that's been a main push for them lately. Back in the day when we've had less interested people in charge of the restorative justice system, they call it, they would just give us boxes of hats and gloves and blankets, and we would bring them up and we would distribute them like you were saying about the guild. We find a place for it. There's always somebody in need of whatever item that you can make. But Julie's really gone the extra step and found local people in her community that can get the items and that they finish and make. All of their items are donated. They don't. It's not like, Orange is the New Black, where you see all these people with these crocheted blankets and everything on their beds. They don't keep any of it. Everything is donated to people in need, and they try to go local to their community first. And if they have things left over, then I bring them up to the St. Louis area and we distribute them. So, any questions about? I take donations all the time. So anytime I'm here, I will take. In fact, I got 2 bags of yarn already today, and I'm very excited. We just went not long ago. And I have to tell you this story, because I've never gotten to go into the prison and actually observe the prisoners receive the yarn before, but my friend Vince did. And when he went in, he said they are like kids at Christmas when the new yarn comes in. Because you imagine, you know how much we like shopping for yarn, right? These guys don't get to shop for yarn, okay? It's whatever gets delivered to their door. And so they are pawing through it, because usually I save up, I only go maybe 4 or 5 times a year to take yarn up. And when they get it, it's kind of a big batch. And so you can imagine getting a big delivery of yarn, and they're all going through, and they're like fighting over who gets what, and not in a bad way, but. Yeah. And they're not like stabbing each other with their pencils. It's not like that. But they do, they're excited. They just had a big delivery of yarn. And one story that Vince always liked to tell, and again, I don't get to see these people because I'm not approved to be in the prison. He was actually teaching math in the prison, so he knew these fellows personally. And one guy one time came up to him and said, "Vince, this is the first time in my life my dad came to visit me, and I told him what I was doing, and he told me he was proud of me." And that was the first time in this guy's life that anybody, much less his dad, had ever said they were proud of him, because he was making these things and donating them to the local community. So it's a big deal to these folks. It's a big help for their rehabilitation going forward, and it's a chance for them to see how it feels to do something good for somebody else, as opposed to whatever landed them in the prison in the first place. So, thanks.
I think there's a YouTube, on the Guild YouTube in July of 2018, Vince's presentation.
It's actually on my the Guild did
yours?
not have a YouTube channel,
Oh, okay.
so it's on my personal YouTube channel, but yeah, I could put a link in on Facebook if somebody's interested. It was like a half-hour talk. Yeah.
And then Project Linus will provide blankets to kids who are in need, traumatized, seriously ill. And their website says that since 1995, they've donated over 9 million blankets.
Wow.
And I believe they'll take blankets of any size. Do you have some? Great, Pam has more information on that.
In the past, I've talked to the coordinator for Project Linus. They're type, they will take blankets of any size. That is true. You can put them in donation boxes that can now be found in many Joann stores. They want yarn, blankets created of yarn that is new. They prefer a twin size blanket, but they will take any size. And just like us, they will find a place for it. You know, we have gotten donations of blankets and for Project Linus, and I talked to this lady. At first she said, we'll take anything. And I said, anything? And she then said, well, really, it should be new yarn, not like we have received, somebody was going to thrift stores, and they were lovely, but they were not new. And therefore, Project Linus would, if we had put that in the donation box, Project Linus volunteers would have had to figure out, and they probably would have gone to a thrift store. So that's the real thing. When you're making something, remember that there is a recipient or an organization, and they run on volunteers. We don't want to burden them, right? I mean, that just isn't right. So, okay.
I have a question.
Yes?
Does Project Linus, do you know if they want acrylic or whether they will accept wool?
I think they prefer acrylic. A lot of the blankets that they get are the ones that were made out of, like Girl Scouts take a big thing of fleece and they cut the edges and then tie them. A lot of the blankets that they actually distribute are made that way. They also take quilts. And you know, the target size is a twin, so that if they give it to someone, they can more or less use it as long as it's usable. So.
Thank you. That's all I have from a slide perspective. Are there any questions, or does anyone else have an organization that we might donate to that wasn't covered that they want to say something about? Yes, ma'am.
I just mentioned, Project Linus does have a good website with specifications on sizes and everything. If you just Google Project Linus.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody again. Thanks for all of your hard work. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Last meeting, not the luncheon, but the meeting, they were talking about Warm Up America and the rectangles that are made for that. Does the guild have anybody that is a joiner or other than sending them?
May Webster's taken to the Saks Library. They have a group of knitters that'll do it.
Okay.
So if you want to bring them in here, or if you're going, that's the only library I know that's participating in the program but they really should be 7 by 9. Because I know the Weber Library used to be participants and they had more crocheters and it was kind of difficult to incorporate squares if you're only donating a few to fit them in so that they're all a uniform size.
I know they want acrylic and
Yeah.
I know they want you to weave in the ends.
And weave in the ends, yes, that's important.
Because again, it's volunteers, and if you don't weave in the ends, what does that do for a volunteer? It makes more work for them, and they only have so much time. So, and there's a gorgeous sweater or a poncho back here. Does anybody have a prayer shawl group? Because it's perfect for a prayer shawl. So it is beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Great. Well, thank you all again for all the wonderful things that you make and donate, and it's wonderful that we can help our community out that way. So thank you all very much.